The perfume industry produces billions of units each year and exceeds $40 billion to supply that enormous demand. Giant harvesters gather tons of lavender flowers. But how is lavender oil transformed into a quality fragrance? We visited the perfume capital of the world to discover how the most expensive perfumes are made. The small town of Grasse, in southern France, is known as the perfume capital of the world. They have been dedicated to it since 1724, when big perfume brands like Chanel want to market a new fragrance. This is where they come. This is a true art. Choosing the right ingredients for a new sublime aroma is like trying to mix the perfect cocktail. The basic ingredients of perfume consist of essential oils, oils derived from aromatic plants, fruits, and flowers that are diluted with alcohol. These substances are incredibly alcoholic, just like fine wines that are continuously tasted and blended. Perfumes are also tested as the brew evolves and matures. In the old days, perfumes contained substances like beaver glands and sperm whale secretions. Nowadays, everything is a bit more delicate. Band essence has been one of the main ingredients in perfumes for centuries. This incredible place in Provence produces half of all the lavender in the world. The leaves and striking blue petals of this aromatic flowering shrub are used to make lavender essential oil, an ingredient in many health and beauty products. The plants cover hill after hill, forming a rolling purple sea of fragrance. It may smell good, but its harvesting is no bed of roses. Weeds like to grow at the base of lavender plants, stealing water and important nutrients from the soil. So, between May and September, removing these weeds is a vital daily ritual. The weeding machine lifts the lavender stalks, then shoots hot steam at the weeds around the base to determine the right time for harvesting. The producer observes the quantity and color of the flowers. They should be purple next to them, about to turn brownish gray. The producer also crushes a few petals to see how much oil comes out. Lavender starts to bloom in its second year. The harvest time on this farm is at the peak of the first bloom. There's a second bloom afterward, but it's not significant enough to justify another harvest. The problem is that the harvest only takes place over a 6-week period, and the flowers need to be cut early in the morning when they are most open and full of oil. The best way to do this is with a giant harvester. It first straightens the lavender bushes, then oscillating blades cleanly cut the 15-centimeter stems. The harvester is specially designed to cut lavender like a stylist cutting hair, lifting the straight stem and then cutting it near the base. The cut stems fall onto a conveyor belt that moves them to a tray, and then a screw conveyor sends them to the accompanying truck. This pile of stems smells fantastic, but to turn it into an essence that can be bottled, skill is needed. When the trailer is full, it takes its load to the distillery. Just as with making homemade alcohol from grain, pure lavender must be distilled to extract the best from it. Operators start the distillation by placing 5 tons of stems in a huge steel pot. Workers load the lavender into a still, a large stainless steel container, typically used to produce spirits. They pack as much lavender as possible into the still to prevent air pockets from forming. The less air, the higher the oil yield. Once the still is filled to its compacted capacity, they seal it tightly and ignite an oil boiler. The boiler heats water to turn it into steam, which is then injected into the bottom of the still at very low pressure. Over about 15 minutes, the steam slowly rises to the top of the still, heating the lavender along the way. They continue with the steam for about another half hour. This bursts the glands primarily located in the petals, releasing the oil. The lavender sweats and releases oil that mixes with the water vapor. The vapor is collected in a large condensation pipe. Then, the fragrant steam is cooled inside another tank and turns back into liquid. To collect that extracted oil, they introduce cold water into an aluminum pipe that runs through the still. When the hot steam hits that cold pipe, it condenses, turning back into water. Lavender oil is lighter than water, so it rises to the surface and is gradually extracted. It takes 5 tons of fresh flowers to produce just 50 kilograms of oil. Lavender oil begins its life like homemade liquor, but to make the best perfume, it has to mature like a fine malt whiskey. So, it will stay in these barrels for several months until it's ready. when it's sour enough to become perfume. Lavender oil will join other 5,000 flavored oils in the laboratory for the blending process. There are an infinite number of possible combinations, and noses distinguish the sublime from the stinky. Humans have about 10 square centimeters of odor receptors in the nose. In a single perfume, there can be up to 50 ingredients. The smell of concentrated oils alone wouldn't even reach the nearest nose. That's why, to make a perfume, that's the perfect attraction tool. Strong alcohol is added. The alcohol evaporates at room temperature and spreads the scent throughout the room. That's why fragrance should be applied to pulse points, like the wrist and neck. These are where blood vessels are closest to the skin, giving off more heat and acting as mini fragrance pumps. Amid all this high-tech machinery, it's the perfumer's nose that's the most important tool in formulating a new essence. And their experience is crucial to knowing what makes good or bad fragrances. Perfumers are experts in fragrance creation. These olfactory artists spend years training their sense of smell and can identify hundreds or even thousands of different smells. Samples are applied in testers, and the recipe is adjusted as necessary. When the noses are satisfied, the recipe is sent to another perfume distillery for mass production. The distillery facilities cover an area of over 20,000 square meters. Production lines, filling lines, and maceration tanks with a capacity of 350,000 liters make up the factory. Before developing a perfume, the purity of the raw materials must be checked to ensure they are not adulterated or contaminated. Raw materials can cost up to $20,000 per kilogram. Therefore, the manufacturer has to ensure they are authentic and of top quality. The materials are checked using gas chromatography. The substance is vaporized in the machine and then passed through a liquid. The different components of the substance pass through the liquid at different speeds. The machine detects them as they pass and prints the results. The perfumer can observe which components are present in the oil with a precision of a nanogram. Different amounts of essential oils are weighed using scales with a precision of a milligram. The first step is called composition. This involves accurately weighing all components to create a concentrate. Essential oils and fixatives that help maintain the stability and durability of the perfume on the skin are poured in. The concentrate is diluted with alcohol, allowed to mature, and once the aromas have penetrated the liquid, it is cooled and filtered to obtain a pure, clear, and intense perfume. A sample of the perfume is taken to the laboratory to test its density. The final product is measured with a specific volume in milliliters. During the formulation process, everything is weighed in grams because the manufacturer needs to know what weight of perfume will provide the required volume. The product is measured and weighed using laboratory scales. The density of the perfume can be calculated from the weight to the volume of water. This ensures accuracy when filling the bottles. Glass bottles are made from silica sand, sodium carbonate, and limestone. The materials are mixed and heated to high temperatures in furnaces, melting them to form a viscous mass. The hot glass mass is poured into molds specifically designed to create the desired shape of the bottle. Once molded, the glass is slowly cooled to prevent it from breaking due to sudden temperature changes. Some bottles may undergo an additional tempering process involving controlled cooling to increase their strength. The cooled bottles undergo cutting and polishing processes to remove burrs and sharp edges. They are decorated according to the perfume manufacturer's design and sent for filling with fragrance. The resulting women's fragrance contains an incredible amount of 2/3 alcohol, but the men's blend is even stronger. Men's fragrance can have up to 95% alcohol. The bottle is then filled with the perfume and sealed with a sprayer. Each bottle is batch coated to provide traceability in case of future issues. They are packaged, labeled, and wrapped. Everything is done by hand in this factory. The perfumes they create are specialized products for high-end markets. Like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with someone else who might be interested. Also, subscribe to this channel by enabling notifications to keep learning.